What'd you say?
I'll be your girlfriend officially.
Buddy, I've done this before. I've been here before. Oof. Did the whole thing. I made sure to get her favorite dessert. I remember it was like I think our first date, second date. I asked her, hey, what's your favorite dessert? And I made sure to put in my notes because I would put everything in my notes that she told me that she liked or disliked or she wanted to do one day. I wrote it all down in my notes. And on the day I asked her to be my girlfriend, I got her the exact type of dessert that she said was her favorite. I forgot what it was. It's been a while. But it was something about when they use like the little torch on top of the little like cheesecake type thing or whatever. And I asked her, like, will you be my girlfriend on this? I called in advance. I called 2 weeks in advance to this restaurant. I was like, hey, yo, can you like get this dessert for, I don't know if y'all do this or not. Bro, I had the whole staff working all day. They told me this after I asked her. They're like, we've been working all day because we've been so excited that you wanted to do this. We were trying to figure out how to make it pretty and do what plate and what da-da-da-da. Bro, the staff thought it was so cute the way I asked her to be my girlfriend that they gave us, the parking for free, the dessert for free, and they just kept bringing us drinks, and the drinks were also free because they thought the way I did it was so cute. I also got her this bouquet of flowers, all that, and it was great. After the date we went home and I spent the night. It was sweet. The next morning I kissed her on the forehead and I went to work, and 36 hours later she told me that she didn't want to be together anymore. And then a couple days after that she was getting cracked by another man. It's not funny, but it's like, dang, dude, really? A couple days? Oh my gosh, when I found out, I was so sick. I remember after I found out, because I found out like in person, like in her face, in her apartment, that she had been cracked by another dude. And when I heard that, I swore on everything. All I could hear was static. I stood up and I just walked out her apartment. And I ended up in my car. I don't even remember how. I just remember I ended up in my car and I ended up in front of my house. Mind you, she lived an hour away. I don't remember the car ride home. This led me down the path of being so utterly numb for a while. I was cracking other shorties and I felt nothing. I realized something had to change. That's when I became a little church boy because, bro, I couldn't live like this no more.
Yo, I think a lot of dudes could actually relate to this. I think his experience specifically related to the fact that that was his first love. Like, this happens to almost all guys, I would say. Your first girlfriend, this is the first experience you had in the realm of dating. So you're trying to make it as perfect as possible. Make sure you treat her the way that Disney taught you to treat women, the ones that you love. And some of the things that you would do, you will go out of yourself to ensure that that relationship is successful and it will not break until you realize that the person who you're treating is a human being, and human beings have, flaws and they have problems. A lot of the times you will get situations where you fall in love with a person who is accustomed to dysfunction, and because they don't know how to process or how to be with the person who loved them for themselves, they will self-sabotage. They will start to do things like going outside, start to talk to other men, start to sleep with other men, because a person who doesn't have a lot of trauma, past experience being that they were treated horribly, I don't think they would do that to another person because they know what it would imply if it were to happen to them. I think this is probably top one, or like the top of the list in terms of what you don't want to hear when you're in a relationship, when you're trying to get to know a person, is that they rejected your love after you went all out for them and you're basically a lover boy. Or you did all of that, You go to her apartment to surprise her because you're in that type of lover boy type of mood. Surprise her, show up unannounced, and then realize that she's being cracked by another guy.
And this right here is the bench press.
Welcome, brother.
Welcome, brother. Come on in. We got you. I'll spot you.
It's funny because I believe a lot of us have been there. Personally, it hasn't happened to me, but when I hear situations like that, I'm like, damn. How are you able to trust anybody after that? After you went above and beyond for another person and they basically did that to you. This is how demons are born. This is how the spawn of Satan is born. Because you've been done dirty so bad that you believe that every woman you interact with will be the same. So your next relationship, you're on guard. You're not letting go of anything. Your hobbies, yeah, you may say certain things, but you may say some garbage hobby that you don't really care about because you're just trying to have physical connections. You're not really trying to have emotional connections anymore. Why? Because you've basically been scarred. And the funny thing is, even though, look at the video, even though that the person reacting to the original post has it happened to him, he laughed about the situation. And that's the grand majority of reactions you would see when you hear situations like this, especially around dudes, even your friends. But the thing is, if it were the reverse, where you would see a woman being in a situation like this, there wouldn't be any laughter per se. That's the weird thing about it. But if this didn't happen to you, like you weren't a lover boy, but you basically treated the person the best way you possibly could, and they still did you dirty, I think it's important to not engage in another relationship. Not a relationship like the general sense as in like commitment, but relationships in general, like relations. You need to like sit down, analyze, and not engage, bro. It's hard, but I think it's necessary to understand and identify the reasons why it didn't work out in the first place. And then you're not going to wear your heart on your sleeve for the next encounter. You're going to guard it because that's a learning experience. Because if you don't understand that, you're going to end up, if you don't understand why it happened, you're going to end up hurting the person who would treat you the way you would want to be treated. Because your perspective is like, this person who you would want to spend the rest of your life with. I think a lot of the times we would believe that a lot of other people share the same perspective, the same feelings as us, but a lot of the times it's not true. And that opens us up to be blindsided by a lot of things. Because you are a respectable person. Not everybody's respectable. You assume that they will be respectable and treat you the way that you would want to be treated. Other people would want, you would treat other people, right? But that's not the case. So, advice for anybody going through this, because it's not easy. The gym is a wonderful source of outlet. But if you're not the type of person who would go to the gym, you have other hobbies. And that is essentially starter fuel for any type of hobbies that you've been putting off for a very long time. So keep in mind, you don't have to think about this while you're going through that, but keep in mind that not everybody's like this. You have some over here who are women, you have some over here who are men, and they treat each other the same because of the way that they interacted with the opposite sex in the past. Bad experience. What I was saying is that the person who basically got done dirty, the woman who did that to the woman that did that to him probably was in a similar situation. Because the reason why I say that is now that person is going to turn into a demon because of what happened to him. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that demons create other demons. Hurt people create other hurt people because they don't fix what's wrong with them, so they end up hurting another person who didn't necessarily deserve that. So it's a cool video. I think it's highly relatable, and for anybody who that is happening to, I do believe it gets better the older you get, and it helps to understand that not everybody is perfect. Not every human being has the same perspective as you and way of thinking. So go through it, and I promise you'll come out stronger.